we're getting really good at handling these storms.
It is old hat at this point, that's for sure. This month has been rough. Everyone knows that. And this storm, just another in a succession of storms that we've had this March. Now, the snow begins tomorrow morning south of the Pike, but I think the vast majority of the accumulation will be tomorrow evening through tomorrow night. A little easier to do when the sun is down, and we'll get steadier, heavier snowfall as we head toward the evening and beyond. Wind gusts also strongest evening and overnight, 35 to 55 miles per hour. That brings in a power outage risk in southeastern Massachusetts in particular, and we are watching that high tide, which is around 3 a.m. tomorrow night. Now, the first wave of low pressure has been scooting its way offshore. It ran into a brick wall, which is known as extremely dry air over New England. So all that getting chewed up. Next wave of low pressure making its way off toward the east. This is the one that's going to be much more potent and really bring in a major winter storm toward the mid-Atlantic. And we'll get in on part of it, just not the brunt of this storm. You can see that potent energy tonight. This is a look toward the upper levels of the atmosphere. That will be rolling off toward the east, then sliding off to the south and east of Nantucket tomorrow night. Our temperatures have been dropping back. It'll be still in the 30s tomorrow during the snowfall, which means we're going to get a wet, sticky type of snow across much of the area. As for the morning, we are dry. Around late morning, we are still dry. By the time we get toward the early afternoon, the snow is starting to increase, especially south of the Pike. And there are those highs, coldest to the north, a little bit milder briefly to the south and east. So here's the full timeline for us across the area. Tomorrow morning, starting to watch that snow line creep its way up across the south coast. And you notice around lunchtime, snow is still south of the Mass Pike. Then as we head toward evening, it begins to fill in a little bit more. And so as we head towards 6, 7, 8 o'clock, our snow really starts to develop. And that's where we see most of our accumulation. Evening, overnight, into early on Thursday morning, and then we'll taper down to snow showers throughout Thursday morning. So in terms of our snow amounts, sharp cutoff to the north and west with this storm system, so not much of an event for northwestern Massachusetts, Vermont, or New Hampshire. 2 to 5 north of Worcester and heading up through the Merrimack Valley and the Seacoast. 5 to 8 in Boston along the North Shore and anywhere off toward the south. And I think we could see a bit of mixing with rainfall toward Cape Cod and the islands, and also a very wet snow, which would hold down amounts a little bit there. Biggest totals overall towards southern Connecticut. If that band can creep east, I could envision a situation where that line will move into southeastern Mass. We'll monitor those trends tomorrow. In Worcester, we get a little more than 4 inches of snow. It would be the snowiest March on record, topping 1993. So this has indeed been a really rough stretch for us. There you see the winds picking up tomorrow afternoon, strongest in the evening out of the northeast. A few gusts around 55 miles per hour at the coast, especially toward Cape Cod. With that wind and the wet snow, our power outage risk is highest toward the southeastern corner of the state. So I'd have the batteries ready yet again. Doesn't look to be as damaging as the last storm, but it is still a risk, unfortunately. And with those winds, we have coastal flood watches out, South Shore, Cape Cod, and the islands. More erosion potential. It's really one tide cycle that we're focusing on with this storm, and that is the one that's around 3 a.m. We're back to a new moon phase, which means we have astronomically high tides, and so minor to a few pockets of moderate flooding are likely there. Final note, everyone's asking what's going on with flights. Well, Boston's weather is okay for most of the day, but major disruptions around New York, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, Los Angeles, and San Francisco means tomorrow is still probably a high-impact day for a lot of air travel around the country, a trickle-down effect. Thursday, we wind down. The afternoon brings in a little sun, highs close to 40, low 40s on Friday as well as Saturday. And the next nearby storm is late Sunday to Monday. Still a little too early to tell if that's close enough to bring us any impact, but it will be quite chilly.
Oh, boy, let's hope it stays off to our coast. Eric, thank you very much. Well,